Now?
Now!
Okay. All right. Welcome to Transforming Emotions with Reiki. This is a presentation I'm excited to share with you. My name is Karen Harrison. I'm one of the licensed Reiki Master teachers for the International Center for Reiki Training. I'm also a mentor teacher and with Colleen Benelli, co-director of the Licensed Teacher Training Program. And I'm also a marriage and family therapist, a licensed professional counselor, and a certified sex therapist. So I work with emotions all the time, and in my counseling practice, we consider it a good day if we make our clients cry. So, you know, I get paid to make people cry as a counselor. But actually my practice has transformed where I'm doing more and more Reiki because I have found that one session of Reiki can be equivalent to maybe 15 sessions of counseling for many things. I'm helping my clients much more quickly with Reiki than with counseling. I'm healing things like old wounds, things like an abortion, where on a scale of 0 to 10, the person still had a level 9 emotion about it 30 years later. This person whose story I got permission to share in my article, I have an article on this, Transforming Emotions with Reiki, that just came out in the current edition of the Reiki News magazine, where I share a story about a woman that I named Sophia that had level 8 abandonment issues. Her birth father just abandoned her and her mother at birth, and then went on to marry another woman and had 3 children, and he parented those children. He did not parent my client Sophia. He didn't provide any child support, nothing. And then Sophia's mother had to work many, many long hours to be able to financially support her. So she felt abandoned by both her mother and her father and had a lot of resentment towards her father. Well, I used these techniques that I'm going to be teaching you today, and at the beginning of the first session, her level of emotional intensity about this issue on a scale of 0 to 10 was an 8. I did 2 30-minute sessions. This was actually in the course of a Reiki Master class, and the second day, after the second 30-minute session, her emotional intensity dropped to a 2. And after I checked with her about a month later, it had still stayed at a 2. So very powerful. You know, I could not do that in 2 30-minute sessions of counseling. So I am excited about this. It's also much better self-care for me to help people with Reiki than with counseling. You know, counseling, there's a lot of compassion fatigue and burnout. You're listening to all these traumatic stories, and you know, people can talk, but there's still issues in your tissues. You know, there's stuff that is stuck in there that just talk therapy alone isn't going to get out. So one of the things, the dive in and be with it technique that I'm going to share with you, I used it extensively on myself, because anything I'm going to try on somebody else, I'm going to try on myself first. And my son suddenly died of epilepsy back in 2007. He was 22 years old and a 5th year senior at Kansas University. And he went to sleep one night and died. And I didn't even know you could die from epilepsy. I was shocked. And his roommates didn't find him until the next day, over 24 hours later. And thanks to Reiki and Carolyn's animal communication class, I had started practicing talking to my problem cat a few years before and trying to find out why she was urinating and pooping all over the house. And thanks to Carolyn, I found out that she told me she was a neurotic old lady did not like for me to be traveling around the Midwest teaching Reiki and leaving her, and that's how she voiced her displeasure. Well, anyway, after my son passed, I found it much easier to talk with him than my cat. And my son had ADHD in life. Well, that did not change in spirit. And he was always talking to me when I was in the shower. No, I don't want to talk to my deceased son in the shower. That's a little awkward. You know, really. It's like, talk to me some other time. Anyway, I had many, many conversations with him, and I've written it up. I have over 50 typewritten pages of conversations that I have with him. Now, I still talk to him, and of course he wanted to be here for this presentation. So I had a lot of grief when he died, and guess what, a lot of guilt. You know, it's like, oh, I think I should have known that you could die from epilepsy. You know, maybe I should have taken you to more doctor's appointments. Maybe I should have gotten more educated. Maybe I should have this. Grief and guilt, a really horrible combo that I'm sure many of you know about. You know, as a counselor, boy, when people have guilt, that just makes the grief so much more complicated and just awful. So this technique I use to help get me through the grief. My son kind of took care of the guilt, because every time I go to guilt, he'd go, Mom, stop that. It was all perfect. I chose you as a mother because I wanted to learn how to work with energy in the physical body, because in spirit realm, everything is energy. And he said, I got that. I didn't want to go to Mayo Clinic and have the surgeries and all that. You know, I did energy work on him. I took him for cranial sacral therapy. He did acupuncture and herbs and things, and he learned Reiki 1 and 2, and that helped him quite a bit with his seizures. In fact, that's another reason it was such a shock that he died, that he was, I thought, becoming seizure-free and about to earn his driver's license back. You know, I mean, it's the worst thing as a 21, 22-year-old to not be able to drive. So actually it was divine timing, because if he'd gotten his license back, had a seizure, that could have been a lot worse for him and whoever else might have gotten hurt. Anyway, I just wanted to let you know that I use this technique on myself many, many times, the dive in and be with it method, to help me with the wall of grief that just kept coming and coming and coming, you know, and it would just come over me at any old time. You know, my favorite was the grocery store checkout line, and all of a sudden something would trigger me and I'd be standing there crying, and finally I just coined this little phrase, well, it's just another crying day, you know. Here, take my credit card. I'm crying my eyes out at the checkout stand. Anyway, let's go to my presentation. So how are you all feeling today? Feeling good? There's nothing like being at a Reiki retreat. I love them. I talked to one woman that's here for the second time this year. Like, yay, let's get our Reiki high. All right, what are emotions? Emotions, well, they reflect what is happening now and what has happened in the past. You know, they're also judgments about your current situation. If you have positive thoughts, that's going to make you feel good. If you have negative thoughts, that's going to make you feel bad. For example, if you tell yourself, body, I love you, I accept you, you know, you're my perfect body, you're going to feel good. If you tell yourself, I hate you thighs, I hate you belly, oh, why am I so big here and so tiny there, you know? If you're putting yourself down all the time and then expecting yourself to feel good, it's not gonna happen. And I know women are just notorious for being awful about themselves for body image. So you can't expect to tell yourself bad things and then do better. It just doesn't work. Okay, emotions are also perceptions of changes in your body. Your heart rate, your breath rate, your perspiration. Oh, I got plenty of that going on right now. Okay. All right, for example, you're late for the plane, you start running, your heart is racing, and you notice, oh, you're feeling anxious. Okay, what's the purpose of emotions? Well, it's to express ourselves so that we can get our needs met. When we have uncomfortable emotions, that means something needs attention. We need to solve the problem, right the wrong, grieve the loss, make the connection. So one of the things that Colleen and I have noted is whenever we're writing about something, then our attention is brought to that issue, right, Colleen? And then we notice that, oh, I'm working on transforming emotions. Well, guess what? My daughter issues came up all summer. Yeah, so it was telling me that I needed to do something about that. So I'm sending her conflict resolution steps, how to do iMessages. I'm sure I've taught her this before, but it obviously didn't work. Anyway, when we express our emotions fully, it helps us to find a resolution. And hey, the Reiki card, how many of you have one of these Reiki cards where you can put your thumb on it and it tells you whether you're tense or normal or calm or stressed? You can get it from Reiki.org. All right, when emotions are overwhelming, that usually means something from the past is getting triggered. So my daughter has a short little fuse. In fact, her dad said it succinctly, "You're short and rude." Yes. So that's what happened. The final straw came through the summer, and that short and rude, and then all of a sudden, I'll talk about that more in a minute. When we don't express our emotions fully, they just circulate around in us and they get stuck. And you might find yourself obsessing over the story and about how you've been wronged and the other person did it to you, and whatever. Those stories just really get us trapped in what is going on. So I'm going to teach you a way around that. Escalating emotions. A similar event triggers the old emotions, and all of a sudden things explode beyond what would make sense for the current situation. Of course, I saw that all the time in my counseling practice. Guess what? Marriage therapy is not for the faint of heart. Someone comes in and confronts the partner about an affair, and the partner denies it, and said, well, I have it on tape. Caught you in the car with your lover. Okay, it's kind of exciting work at times. You never know what's going to happen. They take the ring off, throw it, like, I hate you. Anyway, yeah, sometimes I'd come home from work going, I don't need to watch TV. It's all played out in my office already. All right, so when you explode with emotion, guess what? You're throwing out this hook and you're going, hey, gotcha. And the other person's going, ah! And they're exploding back and getting out of control. Oh, I've seen that many times in my office too. All right, those intense emotions cause us to feel emotionally unbalanced, like this Leaning Tower of Pisa, in case you're wondering what that image is. So, most importantly, the other person can't meet our needs because we have needs from the past as well as the present. I gave a little example earlier that I skipped over. So if your mother has been complaining to you and criticizing you all your life, and now she's complaining about your parenting, and then you explode and go, you're critical of me all the time, and then your mother defends and blames, well, you're just overly sensitive. I'm just trying to help. Trying to keep you from screwing up your kid. Okay, well you can, just see how all of that could happen. All right, Reiki and emotions. What is Reiki's perspective on emotions? Well, emotions are energy. When we have a free and balanced flow of energy, then we're going to feel good. When the energy is obstructed, like this canoe has come to an impasse, then that is going to make us feel bad. And if it stays around for a period of time, that's going to block the flow of energy in the part of our body wherever it is, and ultimately cause illness. But that's a pretty cool thing that us Reiki practitioners know about. Blocked energy causes illness. Our thoughts affect ki. Ki is responsive to our thoughts and feelings. Positive thoughts and feelings increase the flow of ki. Okay, that's why we can't be saying bad things to our body and expecting we're going to do better. We've now shrunk our flow of ki. We've now decreased our ability to be resourceful, and we feel like a troll. Okay, so these negative thoughts and feelings disrupt the flow, and that affects our health. Okay, resisting blocks energy. You've probably heard the phrase, what you resist persists. It's called stuffing feelings or spiritual bypass. What we have to do is accept our negative feelings to move energy. And here's an interesting story. I had another student of mine whose son had passed away, and she writes me and asks me, what am I supposed to do? Am I, with all this grief, am I just supposed to focus on love and light? Is that going to be the most helpful? Isn't that the law of attraction? And no, I sent her my article and she goes, oh, okay, didn't know that, because we can't just, will our emotions away. That's called spiritual bypass. So fear of feeling and resistance to feeling causes more suffering than the original feeling itself. Now you might wonder, why is that? It's because when we resist it, it's stuffed down and it's hanging out there and it's going to explode at some inopportune time. It's not just going to go away. And then, because it's hanging around longer, that causes more suffering. That gets us to spiritual bypass. I've never done this. Well, not in the last day, maybe. Okay, so some spiritual people avoid negative emotions. We might deny them, become numb. Maybe it's happened over and over again. I know when I was in an abusive marriage, years ago, my first marriage, I had to really numb out to deal with a constant deluge of criticism and control, to keep me from, going and killing myself or, something. I certainly thought about it. And it took a long time. I took my Reiki training a few years after that. It took me a year before I could feel the energy, because I really just shut down and numbed out so much to keep from feeling, just so I could survive. Anyway, spiritual people may try to rise above, the difficult feelings, or just pretend love and light. And I realized that I had done this, with my daughter issues when, the last straw comes in and, we get in an argument and, well, I kind of set a boundary with her and she starts yelling at me again. And normally I stay pretty calm, because I've trained myself. I grew up in this kind of critically controlling, sarcastic family, so I had to do a lot of work, because as a counselor, that's not going to work. If you say to your clients, "What were you thinking?" If you say something sarcastic and critical to your clients, yeah, you're probably going to really suck at being a counselor. So I had to really work at it and try and change my ways. Anyway, so I normally stay pretty calm with my daughter, and I set a limit and said, okay, well, you made a mistake, you're gonna need to pay for it, at which point she starts yelling at me and screaming, and then click. And I'm feeling pretty calm about it, and then I tell a friend, and my friend is like totally angry, and then all of a sudden I realized, oh my God. And then it all hit me. It's like, oh, hurt. All this hurt started coming out. It's just like, oh my God. The last 10 years of rude and short behavior with her, just came out and just like, ugh. And then what am I doing? I'm obsessing about the story and all the different times and, oh yeah, justifying why I should feel as crappy as I do and as hurt as I do. And then I started feeling guilty that I created this because I didn't set good enough limits and, not good enough boundaries and hurt and guilt and hurt and guilt. It's like, oh my God, I gotta practice all my stuff. I'm gonna have to really work on this, and hopefully I'm gonna clear it before I have to go talk about it. That would be really good. Luckily I did, I worked on it and worked on it and worked on it. And so a little secret I'll tell you about the dive in and be with it method. You really have to focus on the feeling, which is the hurt and the guilt, and not the story, which is the justification about why you feel hurt and guilty. The story will just trap you endlessly. So, all right. Spiritual bypass. When we do that, our spiritual development is stunted until we face our emotions. What we have to do is face our shadow self, bring it to the light. I had to look at my daughter issues and really heal that. And to advance spiritually, we have to embrace the whole spiritual experience. We can't just rise above it or escape it. All of this experience is meant for our spiritual growth. So let's use it to learn and grow. Okay, as Reiki practitioners, we're bringing heaven to earth rather than trying to escape the earthly experience. And Colleen Benelli took it a step further and says, as Reiki practitioners, we are revealing heaven on earth. Okay, that's pretty cool. William talked about that, revealing our authentic self, which is our perfect blueprint of who we are, without any flaws or, just our perfect selves. Right? How does Reiki heal emotions? It works with our negative thoughts and feelings and helps to replace them with healthy thoughts and feelings. It helps to raise the vibratory level in and around the body. That just naturally is going to make you feel better and uplift your emotions whenever you find yourself starting to go to your negative self-talk. Well, you activate your Reiki, your mental emotional symbol, and all the other symbols you have, and start giving Reiki wherever you're feeling that emotion. If you're feeling grief, tune into your body. Where do I feel tense when I think about this grief? Give yourself Reiki there. If it's fear, where is that in your body? And for one person, it might be in the belly. For another, it might be in the head. There's no certain place that your emotions hang out, according to category. You got to feel in your body and notice, where is it? Give Reiki to that. If it's negative self-talk, all right, send Reiki back to the original cause. Where is that negative self-talk coming from? Maybe it's something that your parent criticized you for as a kid, and now when you go to do that activity, you're thinking about that again and criticizing yourself. Okay, that's probably a pretty common experience. All right, Reiki can break the negative energy apart so that it falls away. It can heal the energy pathways, allowing the healthy ki to flow and raise it all up to a higher level of consciousness. I know for myself, I am not at all the same person that I was was when I was married to my first husband who was abusive. You know, I've learned a lot, and out of that I learned how to become assertive. So that was a pretty cool lesson. Okay, transforming emotions, feeling your emotions fully helps them to move. And again, that's feeling the emotion, not just circulating the story. Okay? If you circulate the story, then it can trap you in this endless thing of emotion that is really, really painful. But allowing yourself to fully feel the grief, just the feeling. It's important to feel the feeling on your own without taking it out on someone else. So that's what I worked on this summer. You know, before I decided what I was going to do about my daughter issues, I focused on feeling that hurt, feeling the guilt, and working on that for quite a while before going back to her with my decision about my new boundary with her. You know, which is a really good idea, because if you start speaking up before you really work through some of that, it can make it messier and harder to resolve. So here's the formula. You know, after you feel the feeling, listen for the guidance on the action you need to take. Act on the guidance, not the feeling. You know, if I would have acted on the feeling, I would have told my daughter, well, some pretty rotten things that I hope to never utter out loud to her. So that would have been bad, and you know, and then she would probably need years of therapy if I had said some of those things. So thank goodness I didn't. But asking for what you want. So ultimately, you know, I gave my daughter a very firm boundary and told her that she really needed to work on treating me kinder and managing her short temper. And, you know, in the meantime, until she's had months of demonstrating this, it would not be contributing anything more to her financially. So I thought that was a pretty good boundary. That felt really good for me. And I said, instead, you know, the money that I would have given you, I'm now donating to needy children. Yeah. So I said, you know, take as long as you want, you know, to work on this. You know, you've got months, no hurry. You know, the needy children will be benefiting. Anyway, that just helped me to feel like I claimed my power back, and she was somewhat speechless. But that's fine. That felt good. Like, okay, felt the feeling, acted on the guidance, yay, free of that. Okay, some benefits of transforming emotion. When you can flow in the emotion, then you can move energy quickly. And you're gonna feel good most of the time, because those painful emotions are not gonna stick around and hold you prisoner. They are going to move. Here's something that's also really cool. When you can master one or two core emotions, like fear, grief, trust, you know, the remaining emotions are easier to master. So that's really good news. So far I've been working on that. Grief, hurt, and betrayal, but that's a whole other story. Okay, as any vibration feeling is fully experienced and not run from, if we can just let it be, and I'd say accept it, it always dissolves into something higher and finer, leaving only our natural, unadulterated self, which is love. And a lot of my material comes from a book by Lola Jones. Things Are Going Great in My Absence, How to Let Go and Let the Divine Do the Heavy Lifting. I really like that book. Okay, any questions so far or comments? The name of the book is Things Are Going Great in My Absence, How to Let Go and Let the Divine Do the Heavy Lifting. So I got some of my ideas from that book. And if you read my article in the Reiki News magazine, then I've got all the references to that book and some of the other books that I use for the presentation. Okay, any other questions or comments? Okay. So now I'm going to share with you the Dive In and Be With It exercise that I've used not only for myself, I've used it for many of my Reiki clients, I've used it for my counseling clients. So very simple, it's just a guided meditation. And the key thing is to drop the story about the feeling and just focus on the feeling. And I'm going to take you on the steps through it, and they'll also be on the screen. So you might take a moment just to get comfortable, however you want to be, and I'm going to put on some music. Volume. I want it soft, but so that you can hear it. A little louder. Okay. Would you say still soft? It's okay. So close your eyes and call to mind some event from the past that is still troubling you. Identify the main feeling in the story. What's your predominant emotion? Is it grief, hurt, fear, betrayal, unloved? The story about the feeling and just focus on the feeling. Now imagine going on a walk outside in nature on a beautiful day like today. And we're going to a pond. Maybe a beautiful pond like they have here at the Maga Retreat Center. Now intend to surround this pond with Reiki. Call on your spiritual source to be with you. Activate your Reiki energy. All the symbols that you know. You can just think about them. Say the names in your head. If you have Karuna Reiki, activate those symbols too. energy flowing and your spiritual source with you. Intend to release all that emotion into the pond. Let it all go. Just intend that it is now pouring out into the pond. And now intend to send Reiki to that emotion in the pond. The pond is now filled with Reiki energy. And now, if you like, you can sit by the side of the pond and be with the emotion. And if you're feeling a little brave, you can actually dive into the pond and swim around in this emotion. Look at it. Feel the emotion. Breathe deeply. Reiki it. Love it. Do your best to love and accept that emotion. Whatever it is, love the hurt. Love the unloved feeling. Love the betrayal. Continue to swim around in it. Be with it. Embrace it. Even put your arms around it and embrace that emotion and love it. Love is stronger than your painful emotion. Love it. And you may find as you love and Reiki that emotion, it begins transforming into love. And you may find that more and more of that pond is now filling with love and rippling out. And if you're finding yourself stuck, notice if you've gone back to the story. And if you have, that's okay. Just remember, drop the story, bring yourself back to the emotion. The story is the trap. The emotion is the way out. Feel the emotion and love it. Reiki and love, more and more of it. Feeling that feeling, letting it flow. Loving it, transforming it as it becomes more and more love. And your spiritual source is there helping you, appreciating you. And now, it's time to come out of the pond. And know that you can go back to this pond at any time and do this again. And there's a beautiful Reiki shower there at the pond. And so allow yourself to be cleansed with the Reiki energy. Reiki light is flowing over you now, releasing that emotion, clearing it out of you, releasing and cleansing, filling you with light. And acknowledge yourself for being brave in doing this work. Just place your hands around yourself. Give yourself a hug of gratitude. Say, I love you. I'm grateful for you. I'm grateful for your willingness to do this work, to transform yourself and raise this painful emotion to a higher level. And your spiritual source is there shining its light on you, radiating and communicating to you that you are so loved and so appreciated. And you are accepted exactly as you are. And nothing can ever separate you from the love of Creator. And Creator is grateful to you and acknowledging you for this work. And so now it's time to leave the pond and imagine yourself walking back along the path in nature until you find yourself back in this room, back in the present moment. And take a deep breath. And as you do so, you can gently open your eyes. Around the sacred Kleenex. There's some more over there. So now is your opportunity, if you like, to either write about it or to share with someone near you for just a few minutes about what you experienced. Yes. It's in the article too.
It is?
Yes. It's in the Reiki News magazine.
Okay.
The whole thing
Okay.
is right here.
Perfect.
Transforming Emotions with Reiki.
Is that guided meditation on a scene?
No, but maybe I should consider doing that. Thank you for that idea. Okay, so now I want to check in with you all. How many of you were able to get some of the emotion to transform into love? Okay, awesome. How many of you were able to get all of it transformed into love, at least in just this moment? Okay, a few of you. All right, how many of you felt like none of it transformed into love? Okay, that's all right. That's all right.
I was afraid of fear. I'm not ready.
That is totally okay, you know. This is a very brave exercise. And so if you weren't able to get any of it transformed, that's okay. Guess what? This summer when I was working on my daughter emotions, I did this a few times where I thought, it's not working. It's not working. Oh no, my stuff isn't working. Then I realized, oh, I'd gone into the story. So this exercise is not something to do just once, it's many times. Yes, question?
Do you use that technique or maybe a dash technique to maybe do it quicker in moments that you can feel yourself maybe a little out of control, but you don't necessarily have time to go into the full experience of it?
Okay, so I'm not quite.
On the fly version of what we just did, like when I'm feeling frustration at my daughter, and I'm like, I know I'm frustrated, I need to calm down, transform this emotion. Can you do this in a kind of condensed version, or is it something that you really need to spend time in?
Okay, can you do it in a condensed version? Well, absolutely. I think Colleen coined the phrase Reiki on the fly. Yes, you can do it in a condensed version, and I'd suggest that you take, a little bit longer time with it too. I mean, so a longer time, what's a longer amount of time? Hey, 5 minutes, 15 minutes. A lot of these things work in a short amount of time. 15 minutes to do something like this, not a whole lot of time, and considering how long we can get stuck in the pain, hours, well, I think this is the quicker way through it. But yeah, certainly, whatever I give you, adapt, modify, try it, use it any way you like. Colleen.
I thought it was really interesting to separate the story from the emotion. Yes. Because I hadn't thought that before, and I was so connected. And what I noticed most was I didn't really know the emotion behind the story. Because when I felt the emotion, I couldn't, I was like, what is that? I don't know what the feeling was. And so I'm still going to be working with it. Interesting experience, but I watched how it would take the story would pop back in and say, oh, okay, wait, put the story in the pond, feel the emotion. That was a good experience.
Yeah.
So thank you.
Yeah, okay, so Colleen was saying that it was a new experience to separate the story from the emotion, and then the story would keep popping back in, and it may be a little hard to know what you're feeling without the story. I think that's what you were saying. Yeah. Okay.
What kind of goes with that? I had a hard time identifying the emotion. And I still don't feel that I have identified that emotion, but I have the story. So,
Okay.
is there tools or anything that you can do to help identify that emotion?
Oh, well, that's a good question. So she's asking, she's got the story, but she doesn't know what the emotion is. Yes, I would suggest that you just sink into your body and notice, okay, where does my body feel tight? When I think about that story, where does my body feel tight, and what does that make me feel like? Does that make me feel sad or angry or fearful or stuck or unloved or, what is it?
Do you have to really identify it though? I mean, I'm just wondering because you have them all mixed in together, maybe just feel it versus just labeling what the emotion that you're feeling.
Well, that's fine too. Yeah, you can try it. It's like, yeah. Might be several emotions.
Trying to identify it. Like first I went, oh, so hurt. And then I went, no, it's not just hurt. I feel betrayed and I feel hurt here, but I'm like, no, I get sick. I just be so sick. It's right.
Yeah.
But maybe it's just that searching. I'm not sure what it is, but I like that when you said find it in your body. That helped.
Yeah. Yeah. And generally, hurt is an emotion that's underneath anger. You know, anger is a more surface emotion. Underneath that is, you know, other things. You know, hurt, sad. Yes. Oh, I can't hear you.
I like the diving in with it actually because it's like you get really intimate with the emotion. Can you hear me? But mine was fear, and right when I jumped in, it like sliced my head off, sliced my arms off, and everything. But then it came back together, and it was hiding. And then I was like, I feel fine, but why did you do that? And it was kind of like the fear was fearful, but I didn't have the fear anymore. But I loved it, so it all came together and it was okay.
Wow. Well, you were really brave. That's a pretty major experience. Okay. All right. Okay. Yes. One more, and then I've got a little bit more to share with you.
So it was weird mind. I thought that because I was sick, I couldn't swallow, so I stopped. But then I realized that what you just said about that fear is showing itself, and mine is through the throat chakra, because now I can swallow again.
Ah, yes. Guess what? But those things manifest. So, hey, and we can talk some more after my presentation too, but there's a little bit more I wanted to share with you all because you're deep divers. And Carolyn, here's your picture that I told you I stuck in the PowerPoint. Hope that's okay. Oh, all right, so take a moment to stand up and shake. You know, we need to just kind of shake before we do our next little part. Shake it off, shake it off, shake it off. Yeah. Where are we going to sing it?
No.
Shake it off. Okay. Now. Okay. That's good. Have a seat. All right. Well, here's another tool for you all because we want to just heal it all today. Why not? Reiki, the event exercise. Hey, if you didn't get the last one transformed, you can think of a new painful experience. I know, sorry. Hey, you know, you can just pretend like you're doing it. You don't have to actually do it. Sorry, but you know, I'm a counselor. I love this stuff. But it's yours and not mine. Okay. Oh my gosh. All right, so think of another painful experience, or maybe it's the same one. And maybe there's several emotions in this experience, like hurt and betrayal. One of the things I really like is to quantify it. How bad is the hurt? On a scale of 0 to 10. 0 is you can think about the experience and there's no emotional intensity to it. 10 is you think about the experience and it's the most gut-wrenching, painful experience that you can think of. You know, it's awful. You know, for example, one of my clients was in a car accident, and so we were working on healing some of the trauma from that. And when I asked her to rate what it was, you know, she said it was like a 9. And, whew, I mean, yeah, that to get extremely injured and in the hospital and take months and months to recover, yeah, that was a 9. Okay, so think about the experience, whatever it is, the painful event, and you know, an emotion or two. Or if you can't identify the emotion, that's okay. Just tune into yourself and note what is the intensity of my overall feeling about it. You know, is it a 5 that's kind of painful, but not awful, or maybe it's an 8, or maybe you've done a lot of work on it and it's a 3. So make a mental note to yourself what that is. And now, I'm going to turn the music back on. Close your eyes. This will be a shorter one. So this might be more of that shorter experience that Robin was asking about. Call on your spiritual source. And again, power yourself up with all the symbols that you know. Add in your Karuna symbols if you have them. And the holy fire and the distance symbol are very powerful. Now intend to send Reiki to one of the emotions for a few minutes. And if you've got Reiki 2 or higher, make sure you use that distance symbol. And if you have Reiki 1, you can just intend to send Reiki to it. Envision the Reiki flowing through it, into it, and around it. Envision the Reiki healing it. And if you want, you can intend that that Reiki is going to the original cause of that painful feeling. Going back to heal the very first time that this painful event occurred. Now, if the emotion has not begun to lighten up, you can call on your spiritual source to clear it. I call on God, Holy Spirit, and Jesus to clear it, and often find that I have instant relief. Now, if there's another emotion associated with this painful event, take a moment to Reiki that emotion. Often what I'll say is holy fire, holy fire, holy fire, and the distance symbol by its secret name 3 times. Back to the original cause of this painful emotion, this painful event. spiritual source to clear it. And take a moment now to check in with yourself on the emotional intensity of that emotion or those emotions. And see if it's dropped at all. And take a deep breath. And again, acknowledge yourself for being so brave to do so much work in one day. And there's more. This is the timeline technique. Sorry, I forgot about this little part. So you can imagine a timeline of the problem from the present back to the origin, and intend to send Reiki along that whole timeline from the present back to the beginning, imagining that there's actually like a cord all along that event, and send Reiki about along that. So since I've already kind of, brought you out, you can try this later. So I'll just give you an example of how I use this. Back to my daughter issues this summer. I not only did the dive in the pond, I did the Reiki, the event, and the timeline of sending Reiki back along the timeline of the problem from the present, young adulthood, back to about age 13 when it started, 10 years. And as I do that, it's kind of like knocks out, ching, 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 and just smooths it, calms it. And then, this is a little addition to this. Oops. All right, you can send the energy back along the ancestral lines of the similar experience, because guess what? We are a combination of the strengths and the weaknesses of our ancestors. Okay, we carry that forward. It's encoded into our DNA. So ancestral healing is very important. How do you do that? You activate your Reiki, you activate the distance symbol, you intend to send Reiki back along the ancestral lines. I often see it like a white ball of light. It's actually kind of a weird visualization, but I'll share it with you. It's like this white bowling ball, and the ancestors are like these bowling pins, and I see this white ball of light going through them, and the ancestors just kind of laying back in relief, going, like the rolling pin. But it's a nice rolling pin. Maybe I need a better visualization. Okay? And then after you do that, guess what? There's more. If you believe in past lives, then you also have the strengths and the wounds from your past lives. You can intend to send the Reiki healing back along any past lives that have this kind of similar event. So then sending the healing back along all, mother-daughter issues from past lives, or maybe, sometimes I keep telling my daughter, I'm the mother in this lifetime, I know you think you are, but I obviously am, I'm older. So sending the healing back along, past lives that you've had and past life relationships. So that's the timeline technique. Okay. I think we're going to skip the sharing. We'll share afterwards. Question and discussion time. So, Okay. Yes, I didn't get to your comment earlier.
It's okay. When it is trauma from an accident, I don't know, I had trouble assigning an emotion to it. It's pain. It wasn't betrayal. It wasn't, there was some fear. But I didn't know how to assign emotion to it.
Uh-huh.
Shock. But
Yeah.
that isn't really an emotion, is it?
Well, I guess it is.
Okay.
It is.
I just didn't know if you
Yes. Yes.
had
And
some sort of words.
yes. And so with the person with the car accident, I did the Reiki, the event exercise, and I'm an empath, so I get to feel what it is that's coming up to be cleared, and then I will share that with my client, and I felt, you know, the shock of like, oh my God, what happened? And then the wondering, am I alive? Did I die? And then the pain, you know, the collapsed, you know, lungs, the broken bones, you know, the pain, you know, the fear, you know, of like, oh my God, you know, my kids and, you know, what's going to happen to me, what just happened. I mean, all of that. Yeah, it's a compilation of many things, you know, and breaking that. When you've got an intense trauma like that, it can be really helpful to do this experience with a partner and, you know, take turns doing it for each other. It can be gentler. So you might consider that because, you know, as somebody pointed out earlier, when you're doing this on your own, a lot of fear can come up. Well, if you have someone there, a loving, friendly presence that's helping you and supporting you through it, it can be a lot easier. You know, so consider partnering with someone. And for those of you that have a Reiki business, this is something that you can lead your clients through. Again, the instructions for it are in the Reiki News magazine. Use that or change it in any way you like to help your clients with this sort of thing. Okay, other questions or comments?
Well, I understand that trauma, especially this type of trauma, erases the memory, so that's why you have trouble in identifying what happened really, and also the emotional suffering.
Mm-hmm.
And it just is erased. It's a healthy thing that the brain does.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. I want to hear what you think. I think in that regard, then it's better to do the identifying what we need to let go. What is the form? You know, William had taught us identify what you want to get rid of. What if it will have a shape, if it will have a smell, and what part of your body will be. What will be the temperature? What will be, you know, what is to it? So in that way you see it, and then you do the holy fire experience and see what the light does to this, because you don't really have to, you know exactly and what is the fear or you know, excuse me, the emotions.
Mm-hmm.
But in that is an intuitive way to acknowledge at the same time that you are not digging into something that is very hard for the brain to go to, because the healthy thing was to raise it.
Yes. Yeah, so you're talking
Does
about
it
using the
make sense
holy...
what I'm saying?
Uh-huh. Yes, so using the Holy Fire healing experience. Absolutely. So what I'm giving you is not the way to do it. It's not the right way. It's definitely not the only way. It's another couple of tools in your tool belt. And as you are working with yourself, as you're working with your clients, you know, feel into yourself and see what tool feels right for this situation. You know, maybe this isn't the right tool for the situation. You know, maybe the Holy Fire healing experience is really the right and perfect tool. So, yes. And I've used both of these tools on a lot of different traumas. And I've written about them in an article called Lessons from Holy Fire. I've written about it in my articles on Reiki for Mental Health Professionals, Part 1 and Part 2. and then a little bit more here in this article. So that's one of the things that I really like, is working on old traumas. And sometimes as I'm working with a person, yeah, maybe they have kind of blocked it and numbed out on it, you know, like that car accident person that I told you about. But as I cleared it, yes, it all came up, and it's like, oh, you know, things that kind of had been forgotten came up, but at the same time they got cleared. So the emotional intensity went down, you know, quite a bit, from like a 9 to, I don't remember, a 3 or something in one session. Yes?
Just trying to figure out how to word this correctly. If the brain purposely doesn't remember the trauma to protect yourself,
Mm-hmm.
if you don't develop the true emotions that it consists of, and you know, just said Reiki to it, could those emotions that are buried cause an illness manifest in illnesses later on in your life?
Okay, so you're asking, can buried emotions cause illness later on in your life?
If your body, your mind purposely made you forget the trauma because it was too much to deal with.
Well, I think so. Yeah. Yeah, I think anything, so that's another reason, and I think it's really, really good to work on clearing stuff. I mean, that's one of the things that I like to do, is as memories surface of old painful things, okay, well, let me take 5 or 15 minutes and work on clearing it, because all of that stuff clogs up our body, and it not only, it keeps us from experiencing as much joy as we can, you know, because it's taking up space with pain. So I think it's a good thing to work on. And I want to just get to the conclusion here so I can let you all out. So I think transforming emotions is rewarding, particularly with Reiki, because it's so much quicker and easier. You know, whatever Reiki tool you use with emotion is going to help, and I think often quicker than just counseling by itself. And Reiki and counseling together are an awesome combination that I really enjoyed using in my practice. You won't be held hostage by painful emotions anymore. Your body will be healthier and you'll feel happier. And here's a quote that I got from William Lee Rand that really talks about this. Trust in the flow of life and allow life to flow through you to others. This is the way of Reiki. It will heal you in every way, bringing deeply felt happiness, peace, and real freedom. Hey, thank you all.